Hey guys, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about This Is Us, Season 5, Episode 3. Now, before I want to start, if my voice is a bit scratchy, it's because I have a sore throat. But don't worry, guys, it's not the virus. I I get this like every fall, so don't worry about it. So I'm gonna go through this episode the same as I did last episode, which is in chronological order. So there's actually only two time periods in this episode. There's one in like the early 90s, and then there's one in the present. So first I'm going to talk about the early 90s. The Pearson kids are in the freshman year of high school, and they're at the height of their puberty. And it seems like the kids have aged so much now, the actors at least, that they have caught up to how old the college versions of themselves were in season one. It seems like they're finally getting into that timeline. So we see teenage Kate get friend zoned by boys he likes, who joined a group project only because he likes sand. She thought he joined it because he liked her, but he just likes sand. He's like a reverse Anakin Skywalker. I'm not sure why this storyline existed and what it had to do with the rest of this episode, either plot wise or thematically. Like what? I don't know why that plot line was in though. Moving on though, teenage Kevin learns how to weightlift from his dad, something he uses as a crutch to deal with his psychological issues later in his life. But we're gonna get to that later in the video. And teenage Randall is getting hit on by one of Kate's friends, and at first, like she's like acting like she likes the same show as he is. So I'm like, why don't you kiss this girl? You know, she likes the same show you do. But then we find out that she just wants to kiss him because he's black, and she always wanted to know what it's like to kiss a black person, which is extremely racist. I just want to know what it's like to kiss anybody at that point, you know? Um, so yeah, but later in the present timeline, he uses this as a story to tell to his therapist because his therapist wants him to open up more. And his therapist's like, why don't you tell a story about your childhood? So Randall tells him this story. So at least Kevin and Randall's storylines from the past converge in the present. I don't know what the fuck teenage Kate was doing, what that had to do with anything, but moving on to the present day. So aside from Randall's adventures with his new therapist, him and Beth also find out that Tess is posting straight up cringe on TikTok. And out of all the horrible things from 2020, this show has to address. Now they bring TikTok into it. I hate TikTok. So Tess is posting profane and rude language on TikTok, and Randall's like, this isn't the correct way to go about making change in your community because it just makes her look bad. And he's like, this is gonna come back to bite you in the future. If you want to make change, like talk to Randall or Beth about it, or be civil about it. Don't just make things like fuck the system. You know, that doesn't really get you anywhere. So that's very true of Randall, and he's like, you know what, you made a fool of yourself, so you're grounded for 6 weeks, which you know she was posting cringe. Moving on to Kevin and Madison, they're trying to make their relationship work, but Madison becomes frustrated by Kevin working out all the time, kind of the same way Kate felt when Toby worked out in season 4. So I guess that's why they're friends. They bond over their significant other exercising. Um, and later in the episode, Madison finally opens up to Kate and says that, I'm sorry, she opens up to Kevin, and Kevin says that he feels the same way because he feels insecure about his body, and also he's like addicted to working out to relieve stress. And Madison talks to him about her eating disorder. So they kind of bond on that, but I still don't think that Kevin and Madison's romance would work out. I think they'd be better off as friends, considering the only reason they're engaged now is because he knocked her up. And usually that doesn't lead to a good relationship. So meanwhile, Kate and Toby meet with the potential mother to their adopted baby, and it all goes well, but they almost blow it by arguing about diapers. And I guess for some reason they don't realize that she could heal them, even though she's like 5 feet away. But whatever, the mother doesn't seem to mind as much, so I'm thinking they're probably gonna adopt her baby, hopefully. And also, we get clips of this Vietnamese American grandpa and and his little grandchild. And her grandpa is teaching her how to fish and cook and speak Vietnamese. Really wholesome shit there. But at the end of the episode, we find out that the grandpa was in love with William's wife. So that means that William's wife, not only did she survive, but she kept her mental capacity and pretty much just left William for this guy. So this means that this little girl is Randall's secret niece. We're getting full on General Hospital with this shit. And honestly, who knows where this plotline is going? I sure don't. But, I'm gonna keep an open mind and keep watching, even though it just seems a little too far-fetched for me. Like I said in the last episode, why didn't William's wife tell him that she's still alive? And why didn't the EMTs tell William that she was still alive? I don't know. But, I'm gonna move on to my final thoughts on this episode. First off, all the Pearson siblings get an equal amount of screen time this episode, which I really enjoyed. It wasn't completely focused on Randall as much as usual, so that's nice. I'm not the biggest Randall fan. Retroactively, I'm giving the premiere episode a C+, because, like I said in retrospect, it wasn't that good, and it was out of focus for the most part, and it focused too much on COVID. But this one was a much better episode than the premiere. I'm glad that they mostly stayed away from talking about the virus, because it was nice to see them focus more on the plot lines developed from last season. So I'm going to give this episode a B. Tell me what you guys think about it in the comments down below. Click below and subscribe, and I'll be doing a This Is Us video every week when a new episode comes out. I hope everybody out there has a nice day, and stay safe, and peace.